Hello, what we're going to be going over in this video is we're going to create a Java application with 3 radio buttons labeled red, green, and blue that changes the background of a panel in the center of the frame to either the color red, green, or blue depending upon which radio button was selected. So if we go ahead and look at our code in JGrasp, we have 8 import statements. And then what we're doing next is we're going to create our frame class, our 3 colors radio frame. We're going to extend the J frame, and the frame will contain the 3 radio buttons and a control panel to change the color of the panel. So what we have on 16 through 18 are just some instance variables that we've defined. On line 20 we call our 3 colors radio frame our constructor. We set the frame size based on the width and the height. Then we go ahead and create our color panel by creating a new JPanel object. And then we're going to add that panel to the frame in the middle. So the border layout.center just specifies that that panel wants to be laid out in the center of our frame container. After that, we're going to go ahead and call our create control panel method. Within our create control panel method, that creates the control panel to change the color of the panel. So what we're going to do is we're going to create 3 J radio button objects, one for the red button, green button, and blue button. And then we're going to call a method called make button. We're going to pass in what the label should show, either red, green, or blue, and then the color that the panel should get changed to. So that color would be either red, green, or blue. So if we go down into our make button method, this makes each one of the radio buttons to change the color of the panel. Again, we're passing in the radio button and the color to set the frame to, and what it'll do is it'll return the radio button to change the color of the panel. So what we do is we just go ahead and create our new radio button object, and then we go ahead and implement an action listener. And if an action is performed on that specific radio button, we're going to go ahead and set the background color to the color for that specific radio button. And then we create our button listener object, and then we add the action listener to each one of the buttons that get created. So if we scroll back up, the next thing we want to do is we want to create a button group and add each button to the group. In a radio button group, only one button can be selected at a time. When the user selects another button in the same group, the previously selected button is automatically turned off. So we have our new button group on line 49, and then what we do is we call the add method to go ahead and add our red button, our green button, and our blue button to the group. The next thing we're going to do is we're going to create a panel for the buttons and add the buttons to the panel. So what we're going to call the panel is the south panel. It'll be a new J panel. We'll go ahead and add each of our buttons, the red, green, and blue buttons, and then we're going to add the panel to the frame at the bottom of our existing frame. That's specified by setting the border layout to south on line 60. And then what we're going to do is we're going to set the default selected button to red. So we're going to call the set selected method and pass in true, so that's selected by default. And then we'll go ahead and set the color background to red, so that'll show red when we actually run the class itself. So then what we need to do is we need to go ahead and create our viewer class. All the viewer class does is it contains our main method. We're going to create our frame, call our constructor to create the frame. We'll set the default close operation to the little x. We'll set our title to 3 colors viewer, and then we'll make the frame visible. So what we're going to do next is we're just going to go ahead and compile So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to compile my 3 colors radio frame. Then I'll go ahead and compile my 3 color viewer, and then I will go ahead and actually run it. So what we have here, again, we have this small little frame. So I'm going to go ahead and increase the size just a tad, so you can see that the viewer label has been added to our frame. So we've selected red down below. I'll select green. The panel changes to green. I'll select blue. The panel will change to blue. I will go ahead, select green again, and it should change to green, and I will go ahead and set red again, and it will change back to red. So that's all I had for this video. So what we did in this video, again, we created a Java JFrame, and within that JFrame we created some radio buttons to change the color of one of the panels based on which radio button was selected. So we will talk to you next time.